Alright guys, listen, I decided not to go into every little detail as far as the electronic installation was concerned. I don't know anybody that would attempt this plane that didn't have some basic setup knowledge, and certainly your radio is going to probably differ from mine anyway. So we went through as far as putting the servos in and mounting the plate. That's the big deal. Obviously, this being an RES plane is a very simple setup. What I elected to do at this juncture is to just go ahead and set up a simple starting point for myself, and then as I fly the plane, obviously I'll make adjustments there, and we can go over that as well. Right now, what I've basically done is given myself a full throw on the elevator and rudder, and then cut that in half with dual rates to make sure that I get the ability to see exactly how much of everything I'm going to need and make adjustments from there. I know I'm at 50 and 100%, but that's just how I've elected to do this. We'll see how it works out. I'll go ahead and turn the radio on. I'm using, like I said, a Futaba 10C, and I'll kind of show you how basically I've set mine up. I've got, obviously being an RES plane, we're using the right stick for rudder and elevator. So the elevator is actually, or the rudder is actually aileron channel, okay? And right now that's 50% throw on my rudder, and I go to dual rates, and now that's 100% throw on my rudder, okay? Same thing with the elevator. With the flip of the switch, well, that's normal. That's 50%, and then I've got full throw, which is 100%. Now, I personally, when I fly, I don't like to bang the sticks. I'm pretty tight. I use very little expo, even with helicopters. I like to feel the plane. So I'm probably going to have a little bit more throw maybe than most people will, because I like small stick inputs. It just makes me more comfortable. I'm a pincher, so I don't do the thumb thing. I pinch, so makes it a little easier if you're not doing big throws. So that's just my method. Obviously, everything needs to be true. You need to get everything centered. It starts with making sure that your servos and everything are linear. Obviously, other than that, we need to look at our elevator, or excuse me, our spoilers. So I put the spoilers on my case on switch E. So it's just a matter of one click of a switch, and now they're connected to what was my throttle channel, and that way I can adjust them as I'm flying. And I've got full deflection. I mean, I've got a full 90 degrees. That's no problem with my setup. One thing I would remind you is that when you're doing this, you need to make sure that they're rising and lowering at the same rate. And in my radio, I believe that would be called offsets. So you've got a camber adjustment you can make if you want. There's different ways you can do this, but the offsets for me is what's giving me the ability to make sure that those two guys are raising and lowering at exactly the same time. The other thing you need to notice, and I don't know if you can see this in the video, but if you look towards the back, the elevator has also been mixed in with the butterfly mix. There's a butterfly elevator mix on my radio, so that's what I'm using. So if you don't do this, what's going to happen is either your plane's going to want to nose in, or it's going to want to pitch up, depending on which way these are going. And honestly, I think that's correct, but I may have to go back and reverse this to make sure that it's going in the right direction. And obviously with your elevator and your rudder, you need to make sure they're going in the correct direction. If you pull back on the stick, the back end or the trailing edge of the elevator is going to go up. Push forward, the trailing edge is going to go down. If you push your stick right with your rudder from behind should go to the same direction. Okay? As long as you get that correct, you're good. And like I said, dual rates give me the ability to 100% and 50%. And that's just kind of like a jumping off point for me. Okay, let's talk about the individual, or how we set this thing up as far as the fuse is concerned. What I did was I did everything I could do to make my servos linear to the fuse. Number one, by eye, it was a lot easier to set up, and I will know by eye just by looking at it if something is wrong. I push the wiring and everything as far back as I possibly can because I need room to be able to get my battery in and out. So that's that on that. What I would recommend you do with this model is you have a choice here. You can either use a Y connector to put in your spoilers, and therefore they would be connected on the same channel of your radio, or turn that off, or you can do what I did, which is use two wires, connect them to two channels. I believe mine's 5 and 6. The reason for that is that gives you the ability to adjust. They need to rise and lower at the same rate. And if you don't make that, if you don't have a way to do that, then you only can do that mechanically. And there are times, in my opinion, especially having done so many helicopter issues, where mechanically you can get it very close, but it may be just one too many turns. A half a turn is too much, and a full turn is way too much. So you end up somewhere in the middle as close as you can, and they're not exact. So by using, like I said, by using both channels gives you the ability to make those adjustments. Just my opinion. I'm going to be using birdshot, shotgun shell birdshot, to use as far as weight is concerned in the plane to get myself CG. This along with the battery. The instructions call for this, and obviously you can shape this stuff to anything you want it to be. So by putting this all the way up in the nose, I can take out of this bag or add to the bag, obviously, to get the CG as close as I can. What I'm planning on doing basically is using this to get really close, but because I don't want to be taking ball bearings in and out basically all the time, I'm going to get it close and then use those small lead weights we all use from the the quarter ounce and half ounce and ounce weights we can get from the hobby shop. So that's my plan of action anyhow. We'll see what happens. I hope that all makes sense. One thing I haven't done, and I'm going to get CG first, I'm going to put the tow hook, and I went ahead and bought an adjustable tow hook to put in the plane. I'm going to put this in basically, or set it, probably tape it where I think it's going to be, and then achieve CG and do some test launches. And after I'm done test launching it, and I'm sure this is where it needs to be as far as CG is concerned, that's when I'll go ahead and cut the hole and mount this guy. Just looking at it and how it's shaped, I think I'm going to have to add some wood around the edges or something around the edges to make the contour correct. So I've got a nice, so it's not, it's not giving back and forth. Need to make sure that's happening before you fill this in. So anyhow, that's where I'm at. Going to go ahead and start that process, start the CG process, and we'll come back and I'll show you how that works. All right, guys, onward and upward.